Good early afternoon. We are live. Kind of cloudy, kind of sunny, kind of really hot here in Orange Beach. I'm Andy Andrews. And you've joined us here, the Wisdom Harbor Studios, Orange Beach, Alabama. We're down in the financial district with all the skyscrapers. I started to say sky scratchers. But we're only on the second floor. I'm not sure that scratches any sky. Martin Simmons, nice weather there, huh? On the railings at the Navarre Pier. That's what I always think of when I think of Navarre. Guys fishing for cobia, standing on the railings at the Navarre Pier. Shanda Danner, good afternoon. This is a very hot day. Dina Kilpatrick, hey everybody, you shared. Thank you, Dina. I appreciate that. Good afternoon from Dave Huco. So, we've still got, like 3 more weeks of tourists before the schools all start, I guess?
Yep, I'd say about so.
All right, well, let me just tell the tourist, go in if it's cloudy. Just watch out. That's all I'm going to say. Just watch out for lightning. Everybody's always nervous about sharks around here, but 9 or 10 people die every year from lightning strikes here. So, and, if you kind of keep up with it in the news, it's not just here, it's everywhere. But, and just remember, it always strikes somewhere first. You ever thought about that? I mean, why do we, you watch your kids in the pool and you're seeing these big dark clouds rolling up. And you say, should we get them out of the pool? Well, we haven't seen lightning yet. So why do we see lightning? And it's the same way with ball games. There'll be a ball game, big cloud rolling over. Lightning, everybody go. But while it's coming, everyone's like, okay, let's wait. Let's wait till it strikes. Well, it's got to strike somewhere first. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to be first. Shirley Cole from the Texas High Plains city of Amarillo, 200 miles from everywhere. Hey, there's Eva Jean Hodge from Elkin, North Carolina. A bunch of people joining us from all over here this morning, this afternoon. It's the afternoon. Still feels like morning to me. Serena Garner, Ferndale, Arkansas. Ferndale, was that some famous place? Was that in a television show or something? Ferndale. Jody Freitas, glad to see you. So we saw each other at the Women of Faith in Connecticut a decade ago. Marcy Taylor, good morning, from beautiful Richland, Washington. And I'm assuming it's fairly temperate there. Judson Perkins says lightning usually smarts. Man, my mouth is not working today. Judson Perkins, hey Judhead, says it typically strikes the smartest person around. I don't know if I'm going to go with that. Linda Trout. So, yeah, it always strikes somewhere first. Always. Rhonda Pickens, hello from Canada. Do you guys still hate us up there? I had somebody tell me they went to a Toronto game and everybody booed the national anthem. And I was like, well, of course. Those are the grandchildren, the great-great-grandchildren of all the people who sided with the British during the American Revolution and said, we're not staying here. We're moving to Canada. And so all their great-grandchildren, it's just like I'm an Alabama fan because my great grandparents were Alabama fans, and my parents, and and so I'm just thinking that those are the old British people that have passed down that from their grandparents and great great grandparents. And Rhonda Pickens said she doesn't hate us; she never did. But anyway, I guess you'd hate us if we made you a state. Oh my gosh. It's like, let's just say something to get people riled up. Gina Lynn Mitchell from Osaka, Mississippi. Is that how you pronounce that? Osaka? Sister city of Japan, Osaka, Mississippi. Martha Rogers, Madisonville, Kentucky. Gerald Grimes, come to Iowa soon. Last time I was in Iowa, I thought that you could watch your dog run away for 3 days here. I've never seen anything so flat in all my life. Catherine, Lincoln City, Oregon Coast. Hey, we're going to get started on this. A bunch of you are coming in. Gary in Fort Smith, Arkansas. But we're going to talk about the least and most favorites, I guess. And I'm just going to, I don't know yours, so I'm going to give you mine. But as we go through this list, tell me yours. Tell me your least and most favorites. But if you tell me your least favorite, you got to tell me why. All right? You got to tell me why. All right, so first of all, our first topic is cheese. I'm going to tell you my favorite cheese and my least favorite cheese. I eat more cheddar than anything else. And I like Cabot Lodge's seriously sharp cheddar. They have sharp, extra sharp, and seriously sharp. And if you see the seriously sharp in the grocery stores, if you read about this on the Cabot cheese site, seriously sharp is like an uncontrollable blend they have. They know with measurements and everything exactly the acidity and the taste of the sharp and of the extra sharp, but the seriously sharp changes batch to batch. Isn't that crazy? And they market it, and it really is. I've never had it that I didn't think, yeah, this is great. Cheese toast on a ham sandwich. Now, I like Havarti cheese, but let me tell you, I really like Havarti cheese. I like Havarti cheese on some sandwiches, kind of softer cheese. But I will tell you, Jody Freitas says Munster melted is the favorite. Okay, let me tell you the cheese that I hate. I wish I could tell you its name, but I don't even know what it's called. All I know is that they have it at, who's the guy, who's the chef? Bam, who's the guy?
Emerald?
Emerald, yeah. Yeah, I ate at Emerald's restaurant. This is 30 years ago, when it first opened up in New Orleans. I was thinking, because it was before we had kids, it was before Kevin and Glenda had Judson Perkins, who was just talking to us here. So it was like 31, 32 years ago, maybe. And we ordered just like whatever, because they came up and said, Chef Emerald is in tonight. Whatever he cooks, we would like to serve you at market price. And I didn't know we were paying for the whole market, I didn't know it was going to be like the whole market, but it was like a house payment, it was that expensive. But we got to laughing because through the meal, there was 4 of us at the table, and they would bring you know, the metal things, the coverings over the plates. And when he cooked another round of whatever, 4 people would come, they'd put it down, they'd look at each other and go like this. And it would always be, you know, big plate, be something the size of my thumb from the knuckle to the end. And I mean, we got to laughing because it was like, okay, we're through with that course. You know, but it would be 4 of them. Every time they come in, they put it down. They look at each other and lift it up. So the last thing after dessert, after everything, and let me just tell you, it was not worth the money. Okay, I mean if you've ever been to a place and you go, hey, this was expensive, but it was great. I mean, we've all been to places like that. And we've all been to places that, you know, the meal was $10 and we go, this wasn't worth it. Well, this meal was $700 33 years ago. And it wasn't worth it. And let me tell you how they ended it. They ended it. Put it down. Judson Perkins says, this is still funny every time I hear that story. Yeah. So they open up, and it's cheese. It's a little piece of cheese. And we're in this fancy restaurant. It's me, Polly, Kevin, Glenda. This was our Christmas gift to each other. We went for 2 nights to New Orleans. We got a suite at the Sheraton so that we could come out and play Pictionary in the middle. I mean, you know, we were real wild people. But so anyway, let me tell you. Yeah, I want to finish telling you about the cheese. Then I'll tell you the money. Okay, so this cheese was like, it was little, and it was cheese colored, and it looked like cheese. And so it was of the size that Kevin and I would pop it in our mouths, but Glenda and Polly would cut it in half and eat half of it, okay? But Kevin and I both used our forks. We used our forks. We didn't just pop it in our mouth. We used our forks. And we looked, and we had the dirty looks from our wives about you're putting too much in your mouth. Okay, I'm just telling you that. So put it in our mouth, and it was one of those kind of things where all 4 of us had a panic look at each other. We put it in our mouth, and you're mentally screaming, oh God, I need to spit this out before I throw up. I mean, it was, I don't care where I am, I'm not swallowing this. And without even asking each other's permission, all 4 of us took our napkins to our mouth and took it out. And I must admit that Kevin and I, after we spit it into the napkin, also used the napkin to rub our tongue. To this day, I've smelled some pretty foul things, but I've never tasted anything that bad. Well, we had a list of like 12 things. We spent 15 minutes on cheese. But let me tell you about getting the check. Getting the check. We had 2 nights in New Orleans. So we decided we're going to eat at 2 fancy places. And so Commander's Palace was the first one. And that was like the #1 restaurant in America at the time. And then Emeril's was new. and the girls are watching him on TV. So we're going to Emerald's. So we're like, great. I told Polly, I said, hey, Kevin and Linda just got their house. Yeah, I'll comment to you in just a minute, Judson Perkins. He said he heard that me and his mom suck at Pictionary too. Well, I'll tell you more about that in a second. But so anyway, I said to Polly, I said, Kevin and Linda just bought the house, and Commander's Palace is going to be the most expensive, and so we will pay for the first night, and then they'll have a second night. And she said, yeah, okay. So I paid the first night at Commander's Palace, and it was what I called expensive. It was worth it, but it was expensive. Okay, so the next night we've laughed through this about how nothing this meal is, and how, it's like, get out your magnifying glasses, they're bringing another course. And then the cheese topped it all up. So finally, the waiter comes, and he's, got the check. And Kevin goes, okay. So he puts the check down in front of Kevin. Now, Kevin is right here. Polly is here, and Glenda's here. And Kevin, and just hang with me here because I'm going to give you the actual time. I'm going to do the actual, I'm not going to say, and so that went on for a long time. I'm going to do that. I'm going to give you the actual time, okay? So let's say Kevin is here, all right? Kevin's here, I'm there. Now, so he takes the check, he opens it up, and he does this. So meanwhile, Polly and Glenda and I are kind of looking at each other. And Kevin's. And after a long time, I kind of lean over Kevin and I say, hey, buddy, can I help you with that? And he goes, he don't even look up. And I looked, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, it was, this is like more than a house payment. I mean, I'm telling you, it was crazy. So, but Judson's, his rude, smart aleck little kid comment about Pictionary. Judson's a daddy himself now, but this, he knows he's just stirring something up because his mother, Glenda, and I are the best Pictionary players in the world. And now Kevin and Polly, they would be partners, and they would accuse us of cheating because we were so good. I mean, I'm just telling you. Now, we finally figured out why we think we're so good at this. And the reason is because I am obviously an abstract thinker. I think in parallel lines and just all these kind of weird things. And then Glenda is what you would commonly call ditzy. Okay? So she's kind of, she's sweetest human being you've ever seen in your life. She gets jokes a little bit after everybody. She'll question, and our famous quote from Kevin, her husband, is that funny to you, Glenda? Because she'll just start laughing like 5 minutes after everybody else has laughed at the joke. So Glenda is very much an abstract thinker too. And so multiple times, we played Pictionary, and Glenda and I started, we had the first turn, and went completely around the board without giving Polly and Kevin a turn. I mean, more than 3 times we did that. And I remember the one where there were 2 that I specifically remember. One is I drew a box and drew a tree in it, and Glenda said, mural. That's it. And they were like, You're cheating. You're cheating. I mean, they were going crazy. And the other one was, and I was drawing and Glenda was guessing, and I drew a kind of a house kind of thing, but I drew it like this. I drew it there, 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 there. She said, pagoda. Right, that's it. I mean, nothing, just first guess, man, first guess. And so they really thought that we cheated, but we did not cheat. We were just the best. Who is that? Gordon Merriweather, Cabot Seriously Sharp from Costco. Also, Dubliner Irish Natural Cheese, also from Costco. Both incredible. All right, vegetable. God, we spent 21 minutes on cheese. We're not going to get through this, So we'll just have to. But how about vegetable? I'm trying to think of a vegetable that I don't like. I'm trying to think. There's got to be. Well, are lentils a vegetable? Are beans a vegetable? No. Because Polly makes lentil soup. And I hate it. Just to let you know. She knows that too. I mean, it's not like I'm saving her feelings. And bean soup, I double hate it. I hate red rice and beans. Is that what it's called? What is that? Is it red rice? Rice and beans?
Red beans and rice.
Red beans and rice. I knew I had the words in there. But red beans and rice, I hate them as if they were vegetables. And I was a little kid who hated vegetables. That's how much I hate red beans and rice. If I'm ever in the White House eating dinner and they serve nothing but red beans and rice, I'm going to say, Mr. President, I certainly appreciate being here, but I'm an adult, and I told myself several years ago I was never going to eat red beans and rice, even if they serve them at the White House. And here we are at the White House, and you're serving red beans and rice. So appreciate being here, but I'm not eating the food. I mean, that's what I would be forced to say to the President of the United States. Even though I was in the White House one time, and in the Blue Room, they had an hors d'oeuvre table, and they had souse. You know what souse is? Yeah? No, you don't? They don't have it in most grocery stores. They'll have it in like grocery stores that are in real rural areas. Piggly Wigglies carry souse if they're in rural areas, but I don't even think the Piggly Wiggly in Loxley carry. Joey Fritas says, don't tell Dave Ramsey beans and rice are the way to financial freedom. I know, Dave says that. Dave says that. I can eat beans and I can eat rice. I don't like beans. I don't like red beans and rice. It's a texture thing, I think, for me. See these 2 sweet little girls right here? Nobody's going to give them red beans and rice because they love them too much. Right? You don't like red beans and rice, do you? No, me either. Serena Stoll Garner says, I love grits, but I hate hominy. I get that. It's 2 different. It's two different tastes. Judson Perkins, do you love pickle and olives or you hate them? I'm guessing you hate them, even though your daddy loves them. Jennifer Stewart, zucchini and squash. I think people are putting up here what they hate. I think because that's more interesting. I think what they hate's more interesting. You know, it's like, I love lettuce. I love lettuce. I just love lettuce. And it's like, yeah, okay, who cares? You know, but if you say you hate lettuce, people are just really interested in it. Really, you hate it? Why do you hate it? You know, but Serena Garner says they carry souse at the Kroger in Conway, Arkansas. D. Holcomb, hey, how are you doing? Yeah, souse is like, see, she's Googled souse, hadn't you? But, and it's called, you know, in some places it's called hogshead cheese, but it's not cheese maybe made from a hog's head, but you know, but it was all the pieces of meat that were left over when they got through butchering the hog, and they chop them up. And now I think the commercially made souse is probably ground, but I've seen it chopped. Like in Stockton, at the grocery store here in Stockton, they've got real souse. And what's Chuck Childress's place in Robertsdale? Farm Fresh Meats. Farm Fresh Meats has good souse, but you eat it, or I guess my daddy ate it, like cubed up in vinegar, pepper on it, and then on a saltine cracker. Now, if you look at it, you're not going to like it because it's kind of gray, which I don't know what food you would say, oh, it's just a beautiful looking food, it's gray. But anyway, souse, they served it in the White House, and I ate it because I said, I can always say I ate souse in the White House. Who said lima beans? Sandy. I agree with Sandy. Lima beans, now I like butter beans, but when I think lima beans, I'm thinking about being in elementary school and going to the lunchroom and those big old goopy, green, drippy lima beans. Dave Timmons, pickled beets. Me too. I don't like pickled beets, but I will tell you this. The only beets I ever had were pickled beets. Nobody ever told me there's anything other than pickled beets. And in fact, nobody called them pickled beets. They called them beets. Here's beets. You want some beets? I hated them. And so then we get married. And sometimes Polly says, you know, she loves beets. And I'm like, how do you love beets? How do you like that? It turns your mouth inside out. And so she said, well, I'm going to make a beet. Like, you make a beet? And so she roasted a beet. And now I like beets, but I don't like pickled beets. Christy says, Christy, my sister, says, souse used to be good with Daddy, but not anymore. Have you just not had good souse, Christy? Do you just not have a good souse source? Shanda Danner said, ever ate chitlins? Why do you put LOL after that? Because yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I will just tell you something about chitlins. If they're cut thin and fried completely, they're really good. It's kind of like this is going to make it sound bad. It's kind of like an earthy version of a pork skin. But, you know, But boiled chitlins, don't eat that. Don't eat that. Because that, when you pick one up, it's too much like, if you're sitting there, if I held up a boiled chitlin and a raw chitlin, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And probably if you chewed on one, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference either. Taste might be different. Tina Hunt says, my parents would have a pig and cow butchered every year. My mom would make souse, but they called it hogshead cheese. I saw her make it and wouldn't touch it. I bet that is one thing. I bet that is one thing that if you watch somebody make, there's probably some more things that if you watched them make, you would not eat it. But boy, souse has got to be near top of the list. Watch somebody make souse. Susan Newman says turnip is not my thing. All right, now let me ask you this. Are you talking about the root or the greens? Because we always call turnips, we call the greens, we call them turnips. And then when Mom or Maymay would put in the roots, we would call that the roots. It was turnips and the roots. And then I get married, and Polly from Mississippi, she calls the root, she calls that the turnip. And then the other is the greens. But she grew up opening Christmas presents on Christmas Eve. What does she know? Okay. Let's skip to fish. Let's do fish. We ain't got too much time left, but let's do fish. The best fish I've ever had in my life, and my wife and I both agree on this, is African pompano. Now, this is not the pompano that we catch around here off the beaches. This is not the pompano that if you're ordering pompano in a restaurant, it's not pompano that you would buy in the fish market. This is African pompano. You can look it up. They're a lot bigger, and they're deep water fish. And apparently they're pretty rare because I've only seen 2 of them in my entire life. And both of them, one was brought in by Adam, our youngest fishing son, and the other brought in by Frankie, who is his roommate, who Frankie and his girlfriend called Polly one day and said, Miss Polly, we've got African pompano. Do y'all want some of this? She was like, yes, we do. I cannot tell you how great this fish is. I like fish. And I mean, I love, if you ask me, before African pompano, if you asked me what my favorite fish was, I would have said probably flounder. Can't go wrong with flounder. Fried, broiled, however, grilled, whatever. Flounder, wahoo. Some fish are good some ways and some, other ways. Wahoo is great anyway, including raw. Flounder's great. Snapper red snapper, I know it gets a lot of press, but that's not in my top 5. It's good. It's good. We grill it, but it's not in my top 5. But African pompano, that's a different class. The taste is a little different. I like triggerfish, but triggerfish tastes really different. Okay, but African pompano has a texture and a taste. I can't describe it. Now, let me tell you a fish, and I have tried, I think, just about every fish because we have 2 boys. 25 and 23 now. But when they were growing up, you know, outdoors was all they did. They were out on the water, out in the woods. And so if you could kill it or catch it or eat it, we have. And I mean, you're looking at somebody who has tasted raccoon, possum, bobcat. I mean, we got squirrels and rabbits in the freezer. You know, ducks, pheasants, quail, that's all in the freezer. Deer, hog. And I'm not talking about pork you get from the grocery store. I'm talking about hog that you kill in the woods. Elk. Thank you, Colonel Bill, for the elk. So we've eaten everything. Fish. I mean, you know, the boys would bring something in and say, we're gonna eat this. And I'm like, seriously? And they're like, Dad, you know, you've told us when you were a kid, nobody ate amberjack, nobody ate redfish. That's true. So you're gonna try that saltwater catfish, huh? Yes, sir, we are. And you know what I gotta say about saltwater catfish? Can't tell the difference. I mean, saltwater catfish, nobody eats saltwater catfish here. Somebody will eat, they call them gaff top, sail cats. They have long fins and they're bigger than the general saltwater hardhead catfish. And so somehow they have gotten the reputation that they're okay to eat. And they are okay. They're not great, they're okay. Anytime you're fishing with catching saltwater fish or eating saltwater fish, always cut out the bloodline. You know, that's where the oxygen goes through there. Who said that? Who sent that in?
Oh, I was putting that in.
That's exactly right. The catfish was great. The biggest surprise we have had is alligator gar. And even, you know, Willie Robertson, you know, the Duck Dynasty people, you know, we were in South Dakota hunting, and I said, have you ever eaten alligator gar? He said, man, I wouldn't touch that stuff. And I said, really? I said, well, let me just tell you something. It's incredible. And we, you know, Adam can figure out how to catch anything. And so up at this hunting camp we go to, it's an Oxbow Lake in the middle of nowhere, no houses on it, all the land's around, nobody gets into that lake, but it's a natural Oxbow Lake and it floods every year. And so that's how it kind of restocks or stays regenerated or whatever. I mean, it's a big lake, but it floods every year. And so it has some pretty massive alligator gars in there. And Matt, can you get me the picture that's hanging in my office of Adam with that alligator gar on his shoulders? So these things have been there, and we've been, you know, forever fishing there. But nobody has caught a big alligator gar. The things are just like dang submarines or something, you know. And but Adam has figured out how to catch them. Here's Adam with one of them over his shoulder. So one day last summer, Adam and I were up there, and Adam said, I'm gonna fish for big gar. I'm like, okay. You know, and I'm thinking, maybe you'll catch one. He caught 8. 8! So he figured out how to clean. He told me, he said, Dad, there's only 2 ways to clean these things. One is with a hatchet, and the other is with a chainsaw. And a chainsaw is way too messy. And so he figured out how to clean this thing with a hatchet and a hammer, hitting the hatchet to go along. And so took off the top of that that thing, took off the top of it, and then used a knife to slice down along the vertical bones and over, all the way along this fish, and cut down along the skin and pulled out like a tenderloin of this. It was like this long and that big around, like a tenderloin off an elk or something. And so cut it up into smaller pieces, and it felt pretty firm, and had no odor. So we're like, okay, how do we cook this? And so we smoked it, and it tasted good, but it was kind of tough. So then, I'm looking at it and messing with it, and the collagen that is in between, it's like a piece of meat, like a Boston butt. You get it to the right temperature, and that collagen disintegrates and makes that meat pull apart. So I told Adam, I said, I think we just hadn't got enough heat on it. We just smoked it, but we didn't put any real heat on it for any amount of time. So we heated him up to 300 degrees for just, 20 minutes, and kept the smoke going and everything. And I'm going to tell you something. If I put that in front of you and I said, this is Wahoo, not one person in 100 could have told the difference. I mean, it's that good. So Angela Knapp says blue cat, yellow catfish are my favorites. We like those too. And those little, what do you call those little mud cats? Those little, I forget what you even call, bullheads. Shanda Danner said that's a lot of work for a fish. Oh, the thing weighed 150 pounds, so you're getting a lot of meat for your work. But it's one of those kind of things, how you put together something really complicated and you're like, wow, if I'd have known how to do this, I could have done it a lot faster. If I had another one to put together right now, I'd put it together a lot faster than I did this one. Same way with cleaning the alligator gar. Once you know how, you can do it. D. Oakham says fish has to be fresh, white, mild, flaky. And African pompano sounds amazing. It is. I'm just telling you. Some stuff, what about food developed that you developed a taste for? Let's end with that. Something you hated, but now you like. See, I never really bought into that you got to develop a taste for it thing. Because that just sounds irrational to me. Hey, here's coffee. No, thank you though. I don't really like coffee. Well, here, you got to develop a taste for it. Okay, so think with me here. I don't like it. So now I want to drink enough of something I don't like so that I can develop a taste for it. I think we stop with I don't like it. Why am I going to eat or drink something that I don't like in hopes that I'll one day like something I don't like? I don't like it. That's it. That having been said, the beets were a change for me. Angela Knapp, octopus. The only octopus I had was like chewing rubber bands. Tina Hunt says okra. Love okra. Christy, do you not like avocado? You don't like Brussels sprouts? There's a whole episode of Leave It to Beaver about not liking Brussels sprouts. How do you not like Brussels sprouts? But here is something that I have come to lately. And I had this spring on me last night for the second time in my life. I have always detested buttermilk. Buttermilk just, oh, my dad liked buttermilk. Oh my God. And Santa Claus apparently liked buttermilk because my dad said that was his favorite drink. So he apparently liked it. I didn't like it. And about 6 weeks ago, I was moving something around in the refrigerator. Polly was resting. And I saw the buttermilk and took it out and I unscrewed it. And I got a little glass. Pour some in there. And it wasn't bad, and it tasted a little more. I drank the whole glass and put the buttermilk back in, and I thought, well, that's really weird. Last night, ladies and gentlemen, last night, I was looking in the refrigerator, and I saw the buttermilk, and I almost drank another glass. I didn't do it. I didn't get a glass down. I didn't pour the buttermilk, but I almost did. Things are changing. Shanda Danner, you still want to try an oyster? Yeah, I never tried an oyster, Shanda. Now, fried oysters don't count because, you know, everything's better fried. It all kind of tastes the same, a little bit. But fried oysters are good, but they don't count. You can't. Because most people, when they say they don't like oysters, you're talking about raw ones. And I understand I love raw oysters. I understand the texture thing. And if you want to get a really kind of gross thought about it, my daddy used to say, you want a raw oyster? You can tie a string around one and make a meal out of it. Which we always thought that was really gross. True. There was this guy I knew on a cruise ship, and his name was Scott Mullet. Scott, if you're out there watching, this is for you, brother. But on this particular ship, we had our own dining room with the entertainers and the orchestra and the shop girls and the Fit with Fun people and the divers. We had our own dining room. And so anytime somebody was new, which was like every week, there was somebody new in there, somebody would say to Scott, now, I hate to say this. I hate to say this because I know that if Polly is watching this right now, she's dialing Matt as hard and fast as she can. So just don't answer if she does. Because she hates this story. She hates it, okay? And we got a guy here, a couple of guys here, and they're going, okay, yeah, your wife hates it? Okay, we'll like it. Come on, give it to us. And so you have somebody new, and Scott would either have the fat cut off of the edge of a New York strip, which is about that big around, that long, or a big raw oyster. And somebody in there would say, hey, Scott, just to get everybody's attention, Scott, are you okay? You're not looking good, buddy. And Scott would have his napkin. He'd go, I'm just feeling kind of, chew. And he would hang that steak fat out of the napkin, or he would have that big big oyster slide down his chin. And of course, we're watching the new people. And they're horrified. I mean, you wouldn't see somebody looking at. I mean, they couldn't be more horrified. I don't know what they could look at that would make them more horrified than that. But it was truly, from a guy's, I'm crying just thinking about it. From a guy's point of view, that was truly just an epic moment. Just every week is an epic moment. But from a lady's point of view, he shouldn't have done that. From a lady's point of view, it was over the top, immature. Definitely needs to grow up. Have a little consideration for the people who are trying to eat their meals. I still think it's funny. Oh, well, I'm not going to be here Thursday. We're not going to be in Thursday. Dr. Barb is getting married. So we're going to be at Dr. Barb's wedding. This was a lot of fun today. It was kind of gross, kind of funny, which I think that always makes for a good show. By the way, somebody said, if you like beans and you like rice, why do you not like red beans and rice? Really, you have to ask that question? We'll end with my answer on that. Just because you like two things I like liver and I like ice cream, but I don't want them mixed together. See you next week.